Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. By the way, please excuse how rude I am that my hair is just soaking wet right now, but that's just how I roll, you know. I got out of the shower, had to wax some makeup on, and I'm quickly trying to get this done before I have to go on the school run. So it is what it is. You have to take me as you find me, or, don't. So today I thought we would share another topic that has kind of been on my mind recently, and that is unsubscribing or falling out with our faves. And by faves, I mean like our favorite influencers or creators, YouTubers, Instagram artists, those people that we follow, that we love, that we respect, that we have a lot of time for, that we always support. What I want to know is, what I want to talk to you about is, what is your breaking point? What are your non-negotiables? What, when you've followed someone for a long period of time and you're invested in them, is enough to make you say, that's it, we're done, time out? The reason I'm kind of thinking about this is because recently I unsubscribed from a channel here on YouTube that I have loved and supported and enjoyed for years. I'd say I've been subscribed to this person's channel for like 5 years. I'm not going to name and shame this channel because actually in the scheme of things, this certainly isn't someone who's been cancelled. That's not really a thing. This isn't someone who's done something really horrendous that we all need to, shame them for and hold them responsible for. It's not on that level. But it's someone that I followed for a very long time that recently, and this wasn't a decision I took lightly, this took me months of seeing behaviours I didn't like. And then there was like that final straw moment that I had last week when I just felt like their content was so irresponsible and just so not what I thought this person's personality and all of that was at all, that I just realised, I was really wrong about this person, or they've maybe just really changed in the time that I've been following them. They're no longer someone I want to support, someone I can support, someone I feel connected to, and I hit that unsubscribe button. Well, I hit the subscribe button, but because I'd hit it before, it was the unsubscribe button. You see what I mean? So anyway, it wasn't an easy decision. Like I said, I've probably not been enjoying this person's content just because it just hasn't been, I felt like really the content had got like lazy, or maybe this person really just doesn't want to be on YouTube anymore, and the content has just got less and less helpful, useful, enjoyable for me personally. And that's been like, because I'm invested in this person, that hasn't been enough to make me unsubscribe, because I just still want to see, and the reasons that I subscribe to them are still there. They're very knowledgeable, very experienced. I get a lot out of their videos when they are doing their usual content, the content that I subscribed for. So it's hard, you really want these people to come back when they lose their way a little bit. So I have been kind of, unsatisfied as a subscriber for a while to this channel, but I was hanging in there, and then a few things came along that I realized, my non-negotiables, my breaking point with someone that I really love and am invested in and otherwise have always supported and feel connected to. My non-negotiable in this instance was a video that I just felt was just really tone deaf, followed very quickly by one that I felt was completely inappropriate and irresponsible for someone with a large platform. And that was kind of when I was like, that is what my breaking point is. As great as content can be, if the creator for me is acting or behaving in an irresponsible way and I no longer feel like I can support them, then I'm out of there. And it's interesting to me because I feel like I see, I mentioned the cancelled term. And it's not that I don't feel that creators, influencers, whatever you want to call them, it's not that I don't feel that they should be held accountable and should be responsible for their behaviours and their choices, because I feel that anyone in any job is, if you do something really terrible and you're in an office job, you're probably going to at least have some pretty serious conversations with your bosses. If not, you may lose your job. You may not get promoted. There are going to be consequences for actions in pretty much any job. So I certainly feel like there should be consequences for really poor, terrible behaviour. Like 100%, I feel like there should be consequences. I feel like we should see growth. We want to see growth. We want to see consequences, repercussions for people behaving in a way that is not acceptable in any job and in society in general. Like, we want to see them, but at the same time, I don't think the right way to go about that is by attacking, trolling someone on the internet. I don't think that's appropriate consequences, and actually it just doesn't last. And generally people who have huge platforms get a lot of that anyway, so it's really nothing new for them. You know, we get a lot of trolls, you know, negative comments, people attacking people just because they don't like them. Big YouTubers get all of that all of the time anyway. So as much as people might think, oh, we're cancelling this, we're going to go after this person, we're going to attack them, we're going to send them loads of direct messages on Instagram, those people, they have all of that anyway. That's not new to them. That's not going to be a consequence for them. And we have started to see, you know, brands dropping creators from campaigns, or retracting sponsorships, or just not working with someone, or not stocking their products on their websites, things like that. We have started to see that happening, but it has to be very extreme for those actions to happen. And I feel like they get let off like 5 or 6 times, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's the 7th time. We're gonna have to, guys, we're gonna have to cut ties at this point. It's never the first time. But as far as subscribers, all of that support, that credibility, whatever you want to call it, that just never seems to be affected. As much as we've seen people calling for someone to be cancelled, James Charles springs to mind during the whole Tati, Jeffree Star, James Charles debacle last year. I mean, was that last year? I just feel like I've lost several years of my life at this point, so who even knows? But James lost millions of subscribers. His YouTube subscribers went like plummeting down by millions. I mean, it was madness. But then they quite quickly bounced straight back up once he gave his side of the story. You know, when we talk about people who are in drama a lot, the names that spring to mind being Jeffree Star, James Charles, that level of creator who is just constantly in drama, constantly in bad behavior, constantly repeating the same mistakes, the same immoral, ethical, whatever you want to refer to them to, that level of creator with 16, 17 million subscribers, their subscriber list or numbers just never ever seem to be affected in any way. They can do whatever, literally commit actual crimes, and everyone's just like, oh, you know, but he does do a great cut crease, doesn't he? Like, he does do some fantastic lipstick. I just feel like so many people don't have a breaking point, don't have a non-negotiable, and they're happy to say subscribe to someone as long as they're creating content that that person enjoys, or as long as they're entertaining them. Actually, a lot of people clearly don't have a cut-off point where they're like, oh, you know, you've behaved in this way, so I'm going to unsubscribe from you. I feel like for a lot of people, the only thing that makes them unsubscribe is if the content drops, or they stop entertaining us, they stop entertaining you, and then you'll unsubscribe. But as far as the external behaviour, actually, the vast majority of people obviously don't care, because the people who are supposed to be the least desirable, the undesirables on the platform, still have the largest audiences, still have the most subscribers, the most views on their videos. So that is really interesting to me. So I'm really curious to know as to whether you guys have something, have a thing, a trigger that makes you hit that unsubscribe button, or that block button, or that unfollow button. Is there a specific thing? Do you even know, or does it go by case basis, or do you solely only care about the content, how entertaining it is or is not? Is that your only deciding factor? And that, I think, you know, that is a valid way of looking at it, because quite honestly, for a lot of people, I know it's very hard and draining to kind of keep up with what someone is doing outside of the platform you follow them on. You know, maybe you actually could not care less about this person's real life or what they do on the outside of YouTube. As long as they're making useful content for you here, that's the only thing you're interested in. And I think that's a valid way to go, and I understand that's a lot of people's preference. And lots of people don't even follow people on every platform, or even have every social media platform. Lots of people will literally just have YouTube, but they don't have Instagram and Twitter, so they generally could not know any of the other stuff that's going on unless that person literally makes their own YouTube video telling us. I see lots of people who will say that racism is a non-negotiable if they see someone tweeting, or they get exposed in some way for racist behaviour or racist language. But again, many of the largest platforms, the largest creators that there are, the most successful, the most followers, the most subscribers, are the ones that we have all seen not only be racist, but repeat racist behaviours and racist language and slurs and do it over and over and again, but they remain unaffected as far as their numbers. There may be some brands who don't want to work with them anymore, who have cut ties, but they still are doing massive numbers here on YouTube. So the vast majority of subscribers, the vast majority of the general public haven't given them a consequence whatsoever. And obviously, I guess for many of these creators, the only consequence, the only repercussion that actually is going to affect them or hurt them in some way is by losing numbers on their platform, because that's everything to these people. That's how they make their income. That's how they stay in their nice houses and their nice palaces with all their nice things and getting attention and getting sponsorships and deals and all of that, and being able to create their own brands. It's all based on those numbers. So actually, if those numbers are never really affected long term, that's something I see. I see like an initial, oh, this person did this, let's unsubscribe. And then a week later, they're like, oh, it's all blown over, I'm going to subscribe again. Or just new people come along, perhaps, who knows. The new thing that has come up in this current times that we are all living and breathing through right now is people breaking pandemic rules, people breaking lockdown rules, people not adhering to things like social distancing. And again, I see people getting called out for it all the time. Nikita Dragon has literally been non-stop throwing parties this whole time with hundreds of people not wearing a mask, just going about her normal life as if nothing's happening, which obviously is very triggering for lots of people, because if you are adhering by all of the rules and you're doing everything you can because all you want is to just see your family and cuddle them, and then at that same time you're seeing this influencer having a party with 200 essentially strangers, that hurts, you know. And I've seen her being called out for it, I've seen people noticing it, I've seen people exposing her for it all of the time. But have you seen, one, her stopping? No. Have you seen any of her numbers going down? I haven't. Same thing, Tana Mojo. Did I say that correctly? Tana Mojo. She, as you can tell, is not someone that I subscribe to or support in any way. But again, I mean, I guess the thing is with Tana Mojo is that her behaviour and all of her actions are just constantly repeated. So I feel like anyone who supports her and is following her is fully aware of who she is. I don't think at this point she's hiding or trying to conceal or pretend to be this really moral person, because I think her behaviour is pretty consistent in that sense. So I don't know that anyone could or should have had expectation on Tana to be very professional and to be adhering to all of the restrictions, because she clearly was never going to. She's obviously a very selfish person who only cares about her social life and her friends and her own self. That's how it is. And I know she apologised, I think, at the beginning for the first time that she got caught doing it, but has done it ever since, constantly non-stop. So clearly her apologies are just a waste of time. But again, have her numbers gone down? Have her views gone down? Have her subscribers gone down? Have her followers gone down? No. And all I see is people kind of bringing up and saying, oh my God, she's cancelled, I will never support her. That's what I see. But again, she's not experiencing any repercussions because she's still got all her subscribers. She's still growing. She's still getting all her usual views and all her usual people around her that are just letting her know, oh no, don't worry about it. No one cares. We're all doing the same thing, because these people are just all surrounded by yes men who will just allow any kind of behaviour to go. Something else that came up at the end of last year that was quite interesting to me was because obviously there was the US election and there was a lot of just back and forth rowing, speculation, who supports who. There was a lot of talk about people who support Trump, and there was an exposing of influencers who support Trump. And obviously for a lot of people, political beliefs, although actually what was going on during that time really extended way beyond political views and which party you support. It definitely went way beyond that. But it's an interesting thing for me is political views. Does that affect whether you support someone or not? Do you care whether someone shares the same religious views, political views as yourself? Does that affect you? If someone was to state in a video that, you know, these are my political beliefs, these are my religious beliefs, would any of that sway you as to whether you continue to support that person, to subscribe to that person, to view that person's videos, or does none of that matter to you either? I'm just really interested to open this discussion, because for me, I generally don't know. I don't feel like a lot of people in the beauty space necessarily talk a lot of like politics typical politics. Obviously, I think people kind of bunch things up like Black Lives Matter as being politics, and I just feel like it's so much more than politics. It doesn't really matter whether you support this political party or this political party, or if you know nothing about politics, or if you're too young to vote, or if you don't live in America. You know, obviously I don't live in America, and I've seen a lot of British influencers, creators getting slated because they're having a say on American politics, but actually that affects everybody. It certainly affects us here in the UK, who is the president of the US. That certainly affects the whole world. So it's interesting to me that you see people unsubscribing for talking politics. And then other people will unsubscribe because you didn't. I see a lot of creators. Desi Perkins spoke up about this recently. You know, she just had a baby and she felt like she wasn't in a headspace to talk a lot about the US election and what was going on and all of the things that were surrounding that whole debacle, that whole show was, yeah. It was too much for her, and she just felt like she was struggling and she just wasn't in the headspace to talk about it. And she got a lot of criticism from that. She was getting a lot of messages basically telling her off for not speaking up about it. And at the same time, I was seeing Robert Welsh getting a lot of hassle for speaking up about things. So again, that's something that a lot of people just only want to hear about makeup. We don't want to hear about your opinions. We don't want to hear about your views. We don't want to hear you talk politics. We're just here for your specific niche that you talk about, and please stick to that. And I know that a lot of people do feel that way, and other people really want to hear and see the creators they support speaking up on important topics. So it does kind of feel like, you know, you can't really win because people do feel differently. Some people want to hear your opinion and views and know who you are as a person, what you stand for, and other people have no interest in any of that stuff. So please tell me, what are your non-negotiables? Do you have any? Do you not care less? Are you someone who, show me the content and I'll happily stay here? If you're entertaining me, I'll be here forever. Are you someone who needs to know that the person that you're supporting is a good person, they're a nice person, they're kind, they're good to people when they meet them out and about? Are you someone who cares about political beliefs, religious beliefs, preferences, all those kinds of things that people have outside of this space? Is that something that is a non-negotiable for you, that you want to see people's beliefs and values align with your own? Or do you not care what their beliefs and values are, as long as you're interested in their content and you find that helpful? Please let me know. I'm just fascinated by this whole topic, because as someone seeing creators being dragged through the mud and then seeing that they're not really actually being affected, it's just fascinating to me as to whether they are just the louder voices, the people who are calling for change, who are calling for responsibility, who are calling for people to pay a price for this terrible behaviour, continued repeated offending of people, continued repeated racist behaviour, racist language, or continued repeated committing of the same crimes over and over again. I see a lot of people shouting about it on Twitter. I see a lot of people dragging people in the comments on Instagram, but I really do not see any long-term repercussions for any of these people. I really don't see them facing. I've never seen, who have we seen? Please tell me if you know someone. I'd love to know an example of a creator, of someone maybe with a YouTube channel or someone who's very big on Instagram, who did something that was either controversial or very poor behaviour or unethical behaviour or something that we've spoken about today, and they literally lost their whole platform. Their subscribers, their followers just plummeted to the depths, and that was it for them. Please point out someone who this has happened to, because I cannot think of a single example. Can you? So anyway, these are just the musings going on in my head today. I'm sorry for rambling on, and I don't know if any of this is any interest to any of you, but I'm finding it pretty interesting at the moment, and I'd love to see some actual long-term consequences for people, for these undesirables, the undesirables of the internet. It's time. It was purged. So I hope you enjoyed this little rant, this little chat that we had today, and I would love to see you in the next video. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.